Next, let's talk about this civilian port that is being built dangerously close to the Chinese island province of Taiwan. There is a Reuters article here. U.S. military in talks to develop port in Philippines facing Taiwan. Now, I want to talk about the Philippines. You see them here with their American counterparts, and people are saying, see, look, the Philippines, other nations in the region, they would rather work with the U.S. than with China. But I would say that the Philippines is simply in the process of being politically captured, or being further politically captured. I want to remind people that the Philippines had literally been a colony of the United States. We'll go to the Office of the Historian at state.gov, the U.S. State Department's official website, the Philippine-American War, 1899 to 1902. After the Spanish gave up their territories, the U.S. took them over. The people actually living in the Philippines were not interested in a new foreign master, so they fought back against the Americans. So the U.S. military waged this war against the people of the Philippines. It lasted 3 years and resulted in the death of over 4,200 American and over 20,000 Filipino combatants. As many as 200,000 Filipino civilians died from violence, famine, and disease. The war and the U.S. occupation following it also included horrendous atrocities carried out by the Americans against the people of the Philippines. It included torture and mass murder. And then, if we go all the way to the bottom of this article, it admits that the Philippines was only granted independence from the United States in 1946. And from that point onward, the U.S. didn't simply say good luck to the Philippines. We wish you well with your newly found sovereignty. No, the United States sought to reassert its control over the Philippines ever since then, up and until now. You've had Filipino leaders who worked hard to push the U.S. out. You had others who would come into office, again, because of U.S. meddling in their internal political affairs, especially through organizations like the National Endowment for Democracy. They would install client regimes that would invite the U.S. back in. It seems like the U.S. Has succeeded in getting a very pro-U.S. client regime into power in Manila. Now, here's what the Reuters article says, getting back to that. U.S. military is in talks to develop a civilian port in the remote northernmost islands of the Philippines. The local governor and 2 officials told Reuters, a move that would boost American access to strategically located islands facing Taiwan. So this is all about the U.S. using nations in the region to get closer and closer to China, to encircle and contain China. U.S. military involvement in the proposed port in the Batanes Islands, less than 200 kilometers from Taiwan, could stoke tensions at a time of growing friction with China and a drive by Washington to intensify its long-standing defense treaty engagement with the Philippines. And the article never mentions that the Philippines was a literal colony of the U.S. and that this is not some sort of defense treaty agreement or engagement with the Philippines. This is the U.S. compelling the Philippines to take an anti-China stance when, in fact, China is the Philippines' largest trade partner. So this is exports from the Philippines. China and Hong Kong, over 30% of exports from Philippines goes to China. Only 14.5% go to the United States. In terms of imports, China is the most important source of imports into the Philippines, the U.S. a tiny 6.28%. So you have to ask yourself, if the Philippines taking a belligerent posture towards China, its largest trade partner, is that actually in its best interest? And if it isn't in its best interest, why is Manila making this decision? And the answer is because the U.S. is in the process of politically capturing, subjugating, and compelling the Philippines to make foreign policy decisions that suit Washington at the expense of the Philippines. No different than all of the decisions the U.S. client regime installed into power in Ukraine in 2014 made from then until now, resulting in the destruction of Ukraine.